So we missed a week. We we missed a week because we did do a show, but
It's my
oh
fault.
man, we did a whole
We did a whole show.
situation, and it was so nice, so lovely. But you know what?
Hubby messed up the audio.
The audio.
Audio was trash, and we
And
hold
I was
ourselves
like-
to high standards.
Yeah,
I'm an audio
yeah.
guy, so I should know better. But welcome back to Perceived Value Life,
Yes,
episode 9,
welcome back.
2.0.
2.0.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on, my beautiful wife?
Well, I am so happy with the fact that I don't have to scoop poop anymore.
Oh.
Honestly, it was you that was doing most,
Scooping
most
the poop
of the scooping
the cat poop.
of the cat poop. But I'm happy I ain't got to do that no more. I ain't got to wake up in the morning, listen to Freedom at my door, or Nyla, one of the two, making all these sounds. It's just like they asking me to get up and give them food. I'm like, okay, y'all, it ain't even 6 o'clock yet. Chill.
Well, tell them what you get. What you get? You gonna tell them about this product? We gonna pump this product up, even though we ain't getting paid for it yet. It's all good.
We ain't getting paid yet. We ain't giving. This is just free advertisement because it's a good product. But hit us up if you want us. If you want to be a sponsor. Just
know what
hit
I mean?
us up. All you
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
do is just hit us up.
Facts.
But robot litter. Right now, I'm loving it. It's called Robot Litter.
And what the thing do?
What that thing do? So, and it you can use it from an app on your phone, so you don't have to be like right near the station. I mean, it
You
has.
tell them what it does.
I am. Can I get to it
Oh,
first
I'm-
by telling about, all the specs and, whatnot, what I love about it? Okay, so let's just start with the feeder. The feeder is automatic. You can go into the app. You can set a time.
Cat feeder.
Yeah, a cat feeder in which you want to feed. So my cats, I feed them only twice a day because
They be starving.
sometimes, no, they are not starving. I think twice a day they both get what? They both get 1/4 of a cup twice. So that's like half a cup a day. I'm pretty sure that's good for a cat. It'll help maintain their weight.
Right.
Because Freedom was getting a little chunky.
Right.
Our little boy Freedom was getting a little chunky. So I'm like, okay, we gotta do some fasting in between. Because, I'm all about fasting. Everybody needs to fast every once in a while.
For sure. No doubt.
So, so they do twice a day. Anyway, back to the litter robot. The litter robot is for the litter, but they also have cat feeders, and I believe those are the only two robots that they have at the time. But with the cat feeder, you can set a time. I have my cats being fed twice a day, or you can put it in gravity mode. So whenever it senses that the bowl is emptying, it just automatically empties. But we found out from that particular mode, I don't know, the thing must have went haywire or something, because you came upstairs and this was around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Around 1 o'clock in that morning, and that feeder just kept going off, and the bowl was like getting overfilled.
So maybe we don't know if this is a good product yet. Maybe we will review this thing after a month.
You know what? Yeah,
Before
we're gonna
we-
come
before
back
we hype it up.
around. We're definitely gonna come back around because
looks cool, though.
electronics. They have a tendency to mishap.
Yeah, I mean I'm telling you, go up and down Instagram, the amount of stuff that they're coming out with. I saw a wallet yesterday. I might have to look into it too. It's
Okay.
because my wallet be like on some George Costanza type of vibe. Those of you who watch Seinfeld who know about George Costanza's wallet, have him sitting lopsided, back issues. That's me. I got the fat wallet that is not all money in there. It's a bunch of junk. But this wallet, saw it on Instagram. It basically has the cards in there, but you hit a button and it extends the cards out, so you can grab the cards nicely, and the cards click back in. So it's like it's really cool looking. So I'm thinking about. I'm looking at it. I saw it last night
That
when I was
sounds
scrolling.
interesting. Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's see how these new products do.
100%.
And we'll give them a review.
Definitely.
So.
So anyway, we also talked about before we talked about a little bit about briefly. We're going to talk about the Chris Rock special. I know you didn't see the rest of it, but he did go in on Jada. Everybody's got their opinion about what he said about Jada.
Okay.
In regard, I mean, like I said, the biggest one for me was when he basically said that everybody's been cheated on, but nobody's ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on them.
Oh man.
So,
How true is that statement?
oh yo,
I mean, no, I don't want you putting me on blast in front of the whole country and maybe, the whole world, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not getting interviewed
I'm not
by
getting
you
interviewed by
after
you.
cheated on me.
Like, by you?
Asking you how you feel about
after
it.
you cheated on me.
How do you feel about it?
What kind of craziness is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
How do you agree to that?
It takes a whole level of restraint to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't do it, but
He could still say no. I mean,
he could have said no.
yeah,
but I think all that
found some benefit to putting all their business out there. I mean, why do you want the world to know what's going on, like, in your relationship? Like
I don't know.
Like, that's just, I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable. That's very personal.
Yeah.
Very personal thing to go through. Not only just battling it within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now you want to hear the criticisms of others?
I don't know if people want to hear it, but they oftentimes they put it out there, but they're not ready to hear what people have to say
you're
back.
You're going to get it. People
to do something, to have like an open marriage if that's what you want to do, is cool. But when you start putting it out there, I don't know. Put it like this. It's obvious he wasn't comfortable. He didn't feel good about it. You could see it on his face. So, but all that's old, obviously. But it leads up to this. I think all that tension leads up to the smack.
Yeah.
And Chris Rock, hasn't really said anything about it publicly all this time. So the comedy special people were waiting for him to say some stuff. So he let it off towards the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He let it off. So I think that was interesting.
I want to see the whole thing. I think we had started it and it must have been pretty late because I fell asleep.
Yeah, it was late.
But I do want to see the whole special.
It was cool. I mean, I think overall people weren't really like impressed by the comedy special as far as compared to his other work, but but people were waiting, like I said, to hear about the Jada thing. So yeah, so he let that off, and then so we talked about Sierra's. Well, it leads into that because we were talking about Sierra's dress. People was going off about her dress.
I finally saw it. Now, at the time that we had talked about it, I had not seen it.
Right.
Even though it was like all over the news, I just never focused on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see the dress. Yes, and yes, it is everything.
So
nothing to the imagination.
Nothing to the imagination. But people were criticizing her about it. But that whole thing made me ask you. Remember, I was like, well, how important is it for a woman to be conscious of how risque she's being as far as her clothes when she's with her man, or period? You know what I'm saying? And I think the dress wasn't sexy. It was just like, how far can I go? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
not to say that her dress isn't stylish. I don't prefer it. It's just, how do I want to say this? It's so vulgar to me. It's just so vulgar and just not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's beautiful.
Right.
I mean, her body is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, but you can see body in anything. You know what I mean? And tell the beauty of it.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to expose it all
Everything.
to see that it's beautiful.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm thinking too, because she does have a great body and all of that, but I don't know. It's just like, pretty much, it's just like a bathing suit. It's like a two-piece.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was nothing up top.
No, she had the tape over her nipples.
Hey, listen,
tape or the plus tape over the nipples.
I love when you dress sexy. I love when I'm with a woman who dresses sexy and is confident and just, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I think sexy isn't always like, I got to show as much as I possibly can show.
Sexy doesn't mean reveal.
Yeah, it don't necessarily mean reveal. Yeah. And I just felt like when I saw it, it looked like something you might see the stripper come out with before she takes off the rest of her clothes. It's like she's starting pretty much naked and she's eventually going to be all the way there.
I see that.
Anyway, I mean, there's more important things in the world, but that was something that
the people were talking about.
Yeah. And that's one of the how important it is. That's the theme of our talk today. We're going to talk about a lot of things about how important is it?
How important is it? How important it is?
How important it is, or twas.
How important it was.
How important it was to go to the Oscars with your ass showing.
More than the ass. More than
So,
the
you
ass.
know,
A little bit more of everything.
so do you think it's something that's important for a woman to be conscious of, like when she with her man? Like, do you dress more risque when you with the girls, or when you, or, you know? I'm sure you probably
Oh yeah,
dress a little
like
more risque.
I don't know if risque is the real word. I feel like I dress up. Like anything that I wear out with the girls, I will wear out with you. You know,
Okay.
it just I have the opportunity to do it more with the girls because we have like girls' night,
Yeah.
like at least once a month,
Right.
and we trying to get our date nights in.
We went on a nice little date night. Well, it was a
did.
short little date night.
It was
the
a
other
short
night.
little date night, but, it wasn't a night for me to dress like that.
Yeah,
you know
but
what
it was.
I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I got you. It was
So
nice,
when
though.
it's called for, I will dress like that, meaning like a body, like
Yeah.
bodysuits, like
Yeah.
it's a jumper or it's like it's just giving body.
Yeah.
So I will definitely dress like that. You know,
Do
if
you
we
feel like it's
go into the
disrespectful if
right-
you're like all the way naked like that?
Oh yeah. I don't feel comfortable with that. Like it does something to me just to think about myself going out like that in public. I mean,
If we was getting ready to go out and you walked
And
out
I
in that
walked
dress,
out in that?
like, babe, I'm ready to go. I'm like, oh, you doing that? You know it's gonna be cold tonight.
you would say that.
You sure
You know
you're
you're gonna be cold.
You know it's gonna
and
be a
I
little
need my
cold.
jacket. I need my jacket. That's what he would say. I need my jacket. So
We might not.
wanna
We might
cover
not
up.
park close to where we might have to
Yeah,
walk.
we might have to walk, babe. Are you sure you're gonna be okay?
No, I go for the economy parking now.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
man.
won't catch me in that ever. Like even in my own home, like
Yeah.
ever, like
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. It's
I mean,
funny.
teach his own, but not
his own, yeah.
not,
Teach his
not for
own.
me. Not for me.
So what do you got for me? What do you got for me? How important is
Ooh.
what?
How important is? So, how important is knowing your partner's love language?
Ooh, I've never heard that question before. Ooh. Okay.
Since you insist.
Love languages. Love languages. Okay. I love talking about this love language stuff because I think it's interesting. Even though I don't know a lot about it. I haven't read into it deeply, but you know, we've talked about it a little bit. So, with love languages, I think love languages are important. But I do think that you have to have a good foundation first and enjoy being around each other so you can understand, you know, I think love languages are like icing on top of the cake. I think once you get to know somebody well enough and you enjoy being around them, just the basics, then you can kind of get into their love language. Because I think early on with us, we were having the love language conversation probably at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm saying,
agree.
in my opinion. So once we got to a better place of having a good flow of just the basics, then I think the love language conversation comes into place. So I think it is important, but I don't think it's like the most important thing. Because a lot of times I think when you first meet people, it's like the genuine or the basic thing that's genuine is like, oh, I enjoy being around her. I like the vibe or the energy we create when we're around each other. And I think that's where it starts first. And a lot of times I think people lose that. So when people lose that and then they're like, oh, you don't understand my love language and you don't understand my love language, it's like, I don't know if that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problem is I just don't like being around you.
I
You
think-
don't like being around me.
I think the love language talk is, I mean, it's cool to just see another aspect of a person, but it's not gonna be the main thing that you're focused on in a relationship when you're trying to build a relationship with someone.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was interesting to take the test and to find out. I mean, I kind of knew that, you know, I was more one thing than another. So the way that the love language works is that you take this test and it gives you a percentage of what each of the categories are. So
Okay.
it's words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
Those are the 5 love languages.
Those are the 5 love
Okay.
languages.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, we all
Okay.
like to hear positive things about ourselves, good things about ourselves, what you appreciate about me, words
Mm-hmm.
of affirmation, and quality time. I think we always, you know, we love to have time together.
Yeah.
You know, even if that means, sometimes having quality time to yourself or quality time with your partner.
Right.
And, sharing moments.
Right.
With you or experiences with you.
Right.
Like, I personally love those things too.
Definitely.
And receiving gifts, of course. Everybody loves gifts.
Everybody loves some gifts.
Who's going to say no?
Yeah.
No, I don't want no gift. I don't like gifts. Who says that? No.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to receive gifts. Acts of service. That's like me doing something for you because I know you like it.
Right. I think that's big though.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the last one. You said number 4 was gifts.
Number 4, receiving gifts.
Gifts.
Is love language number 3.
Okay, so number 3. Let me bomb on number 3 a little bit.
No, okay.
You know what it is? I think that, so...
Because I think this is like my number 1.
I would be honest, I'm probably not the best at the small gifts. Definitely. Yeah. I would say that. I'm always focused on like bigger stuff. But... Bigger
stuff, not as in size, but...
Like bigger gifts.
Bigger gifts.
Bigger, more important gifts. Family stability.
Right.
And,
Investments,
things like that. But what I want to say about gifts, I think that's the one to me, that's the one right there that really has to have the good foundation for the gifts. Because one of the problems a lot of times is that as men, especially if we have a lot of resources, we typically go right to the gifts.
Yeah.
Men do that immediately because that's women are gonna go for that. Even if gifts is not your number 1.
Yeah.
Most women, it's easy to get women when you give them gifts,
yeah.
give them stuff. And actually, I think it was I saw something with Carrie Hilson or somebody did a tweet or Instagram post that said the quote was, "A gift is the cheapest thing a man can give you." An expensive gift is the cheapest thing that a man could give you. And I thought that was interesting because it's like, at the end of the day, you can buy people stuff all the time. You can buy affection.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't really mean the person's into you. It's like the cheapest thing because it's easy. It's very easy if you have it. Oh, I bought you something. Here's a bracelet or whatever it is. And all that stuff is momentarily makes a person happy, but is the person really down for you? Does the person really, really, really want to be with you like that? I don't know, because I could buy 10 women if I have the money.
Right.
I could buy 10 women gifts. So that particular one I think is the most shaky one.
Yeah, that's not going to be the main. Of course, I don't think any of these are like 100%. You know,
but
what I mean?
I think the 4 that you mentioned. I think the other...
the words of affirmation, quality time, act of service, and physical touch.
Yeah, I think those, you can't buy those.
Right.
So I think those 4 are probably the best in my opinion because it's like you really could measure...
Yes.
How you could really measure the level of good relationship you have with those other ones.
Yes.
Just my opinion.
All of that. Yeah, all of that. So, I guess love language is, it's nice. Good information to read, good information to know, but it's not the end all be all.
Not the end all be all.
When it comes to relationships, it's not.
Okay. So it's interesting. So we kind of how we feel about the love languages. I feel like when we first talked about this some years ago, we were on 2 different spectrums of what we thought was important.
I think throughout the first, I swear, the first 3 to 4 years of our marriage, it was just about really learning each other. I mean, we had arguments. We argued quite a bit. And, God bless my parents. They were trying to help us through some things, The Love Language book was one of the books that they had gifted us.
I'm laughing. You know what I'm laughing about? Go ahead.
So we, did the Love Language book, but that doesn't really tell you anything. It just tells you some things. That's not going to tell you how to communicate more effectively.
Definitely not.
So then,
oh man,
we have this book. It's called No More Perfect Marriages. And it's the experience the freedom of being real together. So it just kind of talks through like different scenarios that this couple had faced because I think her husband cheated he had cheated and they decided to stay together, but how she was able to kind of move through the process. You don't remember that?
He cheated?
Of him cheating, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Maybe I don't. You know what?
And he was. Oh, you don't remember? See how much he was paying.
See, if it was a woman cheater, you would have remembered that. A scandalous self.
But do you remember from this
What do I remember from this book? I'll tell you what
Probably nothing.
Okay,
but you did remember how we interacted.
What I do remember from this book. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving us this book. What I remember from No More Perfect Marriages. So we were married in 2015. We got this book probably in 17.
Yeah.
Maybe like 2 years in.
Yeah.
All right. So I remember that they gave this book. We sat down, I think, on a Saturday or Sunday. And we decided to read the book.
Because Mom and Dad advised us to read it together.
And we're supposed to read we're trying to read like a chapter every.
Yeah, I think we're going on and off. Oh,
Whatever.
yeah. We're going back and forth, not on and off. We're
Oh,
going
yes,
back and forth.
yes.
Oops, with the reading.
Right. You would read a chapter and I would read a chapter. So this is what's so funny. What's so funny is that I would say in year 2, we definitely weren't where we are now. We definitely were more argumentative. We learning each other. We were past the honeymoon phase, right?
Yeah.
And we have child number 1, and I think you might have been pregnant with Harlow.
I may have been pregnant with Harlow in 2017.
Yeah.
Well, she was born in 2017.
So she was a baby.
So,
She was. So we have 2 kids at this point, right? So we're past our honeymoon phase. We have 2 kids. So we're reading this book, and the funny thing is that we're reading it, and she would read and I would read, but every time, like for the let's say for the male, when the husband would speak about things he wanted or things that he felt like his wife needed to learn from him or whatever it is, I super related to that. And I feel like when you would read the woman's point of view or things that the man should do.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to, I think, read this book, and then every chapter we would have a discussion about it.
I think there were questions at the end of the
questions,
question
right,
that we were supposed to be answering, and it was always
like
on the
test.
it was always on the assertive defensive side.
No, we were so passive
Not
defensive.
assertive, passive,
We were so
passive
passive
defensive.
Passive
aggressive
Passive aggressive.
defensively.
Whatever. we wasn't agreeing. So what we would do, what was funny about it, is that we had a conversation, and then it'd be like, yeah, because when you do these certain things, I think it was really important because I relate to things that you're doing towards me. So we were just passive aggressive, throwing like subliminal shots at each other every time we finish a chapter, and then we just broke into a full-fledged arguing at some point.
Gosh, yes.
And we ain't picked up the book since.
We haven't picked up. We said we'll figure it out. We gonna figure it out.
But we figured it out in real life.
We figured it out in real life. That's the most important part of that.
Oh, my
thank you
God.
for trying to get us on the right track there, Mom and Dad. We
You know what?
appreciate you.
Absolutely. And that was, I laugh at that because we came such a long way from reading that book. And I think if we read it today, we're too damn busy to read it today, but if we read it today, I think we would definitely see it so much differently and have better conversations. We wouldn't be.
I mean,
arguing.
that brings us to the next topic of how important is personal growth.
How
want me to
important?
start?
Please kick that off. How important is personal growth generally, or in a relationship, or all that?
I think it requires more personal growth if you're in a relationship.
Facts. Big facts. Okay,
Than
tell
if you
me,
were
how
single.
important is personal growth?
I think personal growth is extremely important. You can't be the same person today that you were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to grow from
Even
experience.
10 years ago.
Even 10 years ago. I mean,
5
5
years
years. Shoot, even last year.
Last
You should
year.
be different now, which you should be. I mean, hopefully, everything's on the up and up. I mean, but you need to be able to learn from the experiences.
100%.
I think, whatever experiences those are, both positive, perceived negative experiences, but I think those are the ones that we really learn from the most.
Yeah.
About ourselves.
Right.
And it helps us to, I think, respond to others, I think, in a more empathetic way. I feel like if you're more empathetic with yourself, like forgiving of yourself for whatever, whatever brings about like certain feelings. Yeah. Then the more empathetic you can be towards others. So I think through those experiences that we have just in life, in general, we should be growing from those experiences. So I think personal growth is so important to your mental health too.
That's so true. That is so true. The personal growth. I think relationships actually force you to grow personally. It's whether you decide to accept it or fight against it. But the personal growth thing, that's the beautiful thing about how staying in a relationship can push you in that, provided that it's a non-toxic relationship. If it's a functional relationship, it could push you towards the level of personal growth. And yeah, you definitely learn to respond and process things totally differently. But it also makes me think about kind of my next question. When you said personal growth, is how important is conflict resolution? You know what I'm saying? Conflict resolution in relationships. Like conflict resolution it's easy to say.
Resolve conflict.
It's easy to say that you resolve conflict.
Right.
Most people would say that it's easy for them.
Yeah.
But it really is not that easy.
It really isn't that easy.
know.
Really isn't that easy.
Like, I'll keep it a buck. Like, I've definitely gotten better because I used to be, when I get angry or I get mad, I stay that way for a long time, and I've gotten much better at letting things go if I'm angry or upset about something, which is important. It's important for me personally as the person. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I'm over something," or "I'm cool," and you're not cool. You might be holding a grudge,
Yeah.
About something.
All that kind of energy is you're poisoning yourself. Honestly, it's very
Facts.
toxic to yourself. You can cause illness to yourself like that.
Yeah.
Just holding on
You're
to
right.
that negative energy. It does affect your internal being.
Yeah.
So.
I think if you have conflict with your partner, you need to make sure you, at least for me, it's important to at least say what I need to say as far as getting out whatever my issue is. Get it out, and at least you said it. And it's okay one part of conflict resolution I learned is that you don't always have to agree. It's not about you got to agree with me. And I used to be a person where, like, I want to have this argument until you agree with me.
Oh, man. Is that what it was?
Sometimes.
Oh, man, that was exhausting.
Maybe not all the time.
Those conversations were so exhausting. I'm like, I need a break. I need to take a nap. It was just mentally exhausting because I had my own,
Well, you know what it is? My
view
perception.
and my perceived whatever.
Of course.
Yeah, perception about the whole thing, too.
Of course.
So
Well,
I wanted to be heard just as much as you wanted to be
course.
heard. I don't know if we were both trying to get us to you to join my side and me to join your side. Maybe
Probably
that's
so.
what it was.
It could have been
beginning.
that.
Yeah.
My perception is I'm fighting for my
For
relationship.
I'm
I'm fighting. I'm being passionate and fighting for it. But at the end of the day, what you just said,
Yeah.
you have a whole nother perspective, and you got to be okay with someone else's perspective and be
Yeah.
okay to be like, you know what? We don't have to agree, but I at least want you to know where I'm coming from about whatever it is, and just be able to leave it there. That wasn't an easy thing for me. So that's the growth I learned a lot, and that being able to resolve conflict. Man, if you don't know how to resolve conflict, it's going to be a tough and bumpy road, in general in life, but especially in relationships. So,
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think for me, when it came to resolving conflict, maybe a part of me wanted to be right, but I honestly just wanted a resolution. I didn't even care what the resolution was. If you agree with me, if you didn't agree with me, I guess we'll have to just agree to disagree. I was okay leaving that on the table and just leaving it.
Right.
But I wanted an end.
Right.
My resolution was more about, okay, let's just deaden it and let's just continue moving on.
Right.
But then I saw that for you, it wasn't like just deaden it and moving it on, so, and even though like maybe the conflict itself had not been resolved, I've learned to just take more time to like hear your side so that I can get all of the information and then see it from your perspective. So once I just sat and just listened to your perspective, it actually ended on a much lighter note, and I felt like we were both satisfied from that conversation. Like I wasn't just like, okay, we'll agree to disagree, and
That's how it was
You
early
know,
on.
that's how it was early on, for
you
sure.
you're so right, because I think we both learn from each other.
Yeah.
I learned to appreciate the resolution, or get to the resolution, and be okay with the resolution that I may not have. It may be a different resolution than I wanted, but I was okay with the resolution, whatever it was. And I think you came to my side. I came to your side of the fence with that. I think you came to my side of the fence with listening more and saying, okay, it's not just about a resolution just to have one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you just want to be like, oh, I just want this to be over. Problem is, you're not solving the underlying issues, and then you end up right back arguing again about stuff. So I think for us, meeting each other a little bit closer with those characteristics, I think was very helpful. So the arguments became less and less,
intense.
And like, exactly. So
I think, how important is it for women to remain feminine, like empowered, like the feminine energy that we have? I think by that I mean not necessarily.
I knew I was going to ask you. You got to elaborate on that one.
Well, for me, it's a softness, it's a gentleness, it's a like come home, like I'm home type of feeling, like you feeling welcome in my presence, and feeling.
Oh, how important is a woman to keep that energy?
That energy, yes, because that's who we are. We are like, we're dominated by the estrogen hormone. Men are testosterone.
Right.
You know, so that brings. I mean, we each have a little bit of each other.
100%. Right.
I have a little bit of testosterone. You have a little bit of estrogen. But like for women, I would like to know, like, how important is it for you to maintain that feminine energy? That feminine energy can be very powerful, and but you also have to, I think, have a softness to you too.
Okay.
Not just an edge.
Okay. So how important is that for me personally? You asking me?
I guess, is it personal, or just in general? Like,
Well, I'm just saying. Are you asking me the question?
If you're in a relationship, yes. When you're in a relationship,
As a man, I think it's very, very, very important. I think it's something that I don't know. I think it's so important because I think that obviously every woman is not the same, but I think that energy is divine. I think it's something that women. I feel like our society kind of fights women or is pushing women to fight against that energy because that energy is perceived as being weak, and I don't think that energy is weak. I think that energy is very strong. You can be strong without being tough and hard, and I think that it's a beautiful energy. I think being welcoming, being soft doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be taken advantage of.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of what society's been pushing the last 30, 40 years, is to, I think the general energy is like, women are like, yo, you're not going to take advantage of me. You're not going to play me.
Right.
And I get it. You know what I'm saying? I have a daughter, I have sisters, I have a mother, and I get that. But I don't think that energy or removing that soft energy from yourself doesn't make you less vulnerable to be mistreated or played.
Yes.
What makes you be vulnerable or subject to being played is not using your intuition.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And not thinking in a way of, okay, what's best for me?
Yeah.
What's the right energy? So all that energy of like trying to be very I don't want to say masculine, but that energy of kind of being masculine and being hard and not caring and nothing bothering you. Like I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
All the I know this is the word. This is the word you always see online. Hashtag unbothered.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wackest. It's the wackest thing for anybody to say.
Yeah.
Especially women. Being unbothered doesn't mean you're not bothered.
Doesn't mean that
you're just
not
saying
bothered. You're just saying the words. Yep.
And at the end of the day, women are more emotional.
Yeah.
You're gonna and men are emotional too. Look, but being bothered or being unbothered doesn't make you strong. Just because I'm like, I don't care. I hate that.
Yeah.
I think it's a front. So I don't like that characteristic. I think that's a terrible characteristic because once nothing bothers you, then you don't know how to care.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Felt real strong about that topic.
No, it was a great thing you brought up because
Well, I can only say that because I know in the beginning of our relationships, I mean, we're both alphas.
Facts.
Very strong personalities.
100%.
We both have a strong opinion about things, and when we came together, it was like a battle of like leadership almost.
Oh, man.
It was a battle of like who's gonna dominate in this household.
That was exhausting.
It never should have been. It never should have been.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Had I think tapped more into just the soft aspects of me, my feminine energy, I could have approached things a lot differently. And I think over time I've learned to get more of that feminine energy by doing certain things, that helps me to tap into it.
Right.
And it leaves me, we can have conversations easier. It's not like such a battle for opinions.
Right.
And I don't know, it just feels good. And like it kind of spreads, like that energy of calmness kind of spreads throughout the household. You know, the kids can become more calm, So I think the presence of the female energy in a household makes a huge difference in how dynamic our interactions are with each other. They can either be really good or sometimes just completely just not good. I don't know if I feel like it's the feminine energy that drives that in the household.
I definitely think so. I definitely think so. I mean, I definitely think so. Now, I wanted to ask you, like, so a lot of times people attribute that characteristic of not being feminine or being overly strong, independent. They attribute that to women who don't have two parents. You grew up with both parents. So let me ask you, do you think it was society? Was it society that kind of made you like that in the beginning of our relationship? Or do you think it was, or was it past relationships? Is it past hurt or something that points you in that direction to be kind of like, I'm an alpha woman. I'm an alpha woman because an alpha woman can be an alpha woman. Yeah. But if you're a comfortable alpha male, I'm a comfortable alpha male. It doesn't bother me for a woman to be alpha and to be strong. I always told you that I'm more attracted to alpha women who know what they want to do, and those things don't intimidate me. That's good. My mom was like that too. She was business owner, knew what she wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't bother my father because he was good too. Yes. So, but what do you think?
I think it was to answer your question, like, what was it? Was it personal experiences on me to have that kind of unbothered front? Oh, it was definitely past experiences in my relationships.
Got you.
Definitely past experiences in my relationship. And I'm talked to my parents. I moved on quite quickly. Like I was the poster child for unbothered, but bothered. Right. Had that front like, oh, okay. Oh, you're gonna do. Just leave it, move on, go on to the next relationship.
Right.
If something happened there, unbothered, I'm just gonna move on. It's almost like I just kept pushing the emotion or whatever, the hurt that I was feeling in those relationships. I just pushed it down so I can just continue to move on. But those things never go away. They show up in other areas of your life if they're unresolved. Right. So they just continuously show up, and perhaps that's why. My relationships, I mean, I had long-term relationships that lasted years. But when I did move on from a relationship, it was like I didn't take a lot of time to just sit and reflect and be sad and, do the girl thing that we do, write in our journal and cry. Although I did write in my journal quite a bit. I just didn't stay there for too long, and I was always going to another relationship. I learned that.
Did you find a pride in being unbothered? Because that's what I used to feel like early on when I first met you. I felt like you had a pride about being unbothered, and for me, I had a pride. I was proud to be bothered. I was proud to be bothered because I can be unbothered. The problem is that for men, I think when men are not bothered,
Mm-hmm.
they truly are not bothered. That means they don't love you.
Mm.
That's what I believe. A real man,
Yeah.
I believe that once a man isn't bothered anymore, he really ain't bothered.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna pretend he's not
Yeah.
bothered.
Yeah.
If he ain't bothered, then he probably has got somebody else, or is probably not that serious about your relationship.
Yeah.
So was there a pride in that?
Yeah, there must have been a pride, because it wasn't the fact that I was done with the relationship and not feeling the relationship. It certainly wasn't that for me. It was probably more of, I'm just gonna put on a happy face. I'm just gonna put on like I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you want dinner tonight. Just keep it moving and think about it later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just right then and there, maybe it was just too much emotion for me to be feeling and to
Yeah.
respond to appropriately.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I have a tendency to just step away and I stop the conversation. I'm like, okay,
Right.
okay. And I step away, and then a lot of times I find myself reflecting,
Right.
Back to that and feeling the emotions,
Right.
But right in the moment, sometimes I don't want to feel those emotions right there. I need to
Right.
be able to step away so I can feel it and figure it out.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Definitely. Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. Because when you deal with stuff, isn't always on the same timeline as another
Right.
person. But I think that's such a part of our culture right now, is to be unbothered. And I think that it's okay to be unbothered, but I think you want to make sure that you're not just wearing that as a badge,
Yeah, you can't keep up that facade for long.
because that's not good.
It's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect your life. It's gonna affect how you talk to people, your personality. I mean, it's gonna come through. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah, that kind of facade is not gonna last.
Not gonna
long.
last.
No, it's very
And it's okay to be bothered.
hard. Yeah.
Right? It's okay to be
work
bothered
with
about the
that.
right things.
Yeah.
If you're
for
bothered
sure.
about something that's worth it and about the right things, because I think that if you're bothered, it should be a goal to get a resolution.
to respond to it.
To
Sure.
respond to it and find a resolution to whatever you're bothered about.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't find a resolution to what you're bothered about, then at that point you should be unbothered, because then it's like, you know what? There ain't no resolution here. This isn't going to work, or this is too dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been the type of person where, and I don't speak for all men, but like I said, like, I'm the type of guy that, when I really move on from a relationship, I can move on, because I look at it like, okay, if there was a conflict, at least I tried to resolve it and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
If I truly can, because I'm very logical in that perspective. I'm like, well, there's no resolution here. I've exhausted all the possibilities.
I've exhausted all of my resources.
Yeah.
I am not putting any more energy into this.
I don't have to be like, I'm unbothered.
I am
not bothered. I'm really not bothered anymore, because
really not bothered.
It's really done. So, but that's so interesting. That's so interesting. So, was that the last question that you asked me? You asked me something?
I did ask you that.
You did.
Yeah, I think how did we start off? Femininity, I think.
Femininity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's such a good thing, because I think that raising a daughter, those are the things I think about as a dad, and I want to be able to instill that in my daughter. Like, be strong, but not fake strong, not front strong. I'm projecting masculinity. That's not strong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be in your feminine self. Doesn't mean that you're gonna be weak.
Right.
It's what you use up here, how you process here, is how you're gonna.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's how you're gonna be able to maneuver through life.
Yes.
It'd be the softest, calmest, feminine type of women who don't play that game.
Yeah.
They don't play no games because they know what they want to do.
Yes.
And I've seen from you've softened up, and haven't lost nothing in relation to the woman you are.
Aw,
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just real.
so sweet.
It's the truth.
Thank you.
It's the truth.
I
So,
do feel
yeah,
pretty great,
absolutely.
more accepting of myself,
Mm-hmm.
and like I feel good in my body. So it's a wonderful place to be.
Absolutely. So much to talk about, but we are going to wrap this episode up, right?
Yeah, I guess we can wrap it up. This is a good time to stop, I suppose, until next week.
Till next week. You are tuned into the Perceived Value Life podcast. I'm O. This is Faith.
I'm Faith.
We are the Afriers. You please subscribe and love your life. What you perceive is what your life's going to be. We really believe that.
Please comment down below. I love to generate some good conversations. So
where can they find you on Instagram?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube at Have Faith Yoga. I'll put it in the description down below. Have Faith Yoga. All kinds of yoga going on out there for the beginners, intermediate, lower back, hips. I mean, you name it. I pretty much focused on every body part. But if there's something that you would like to see, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to post it up on the channel. So you guys stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You can catch me at OWUSU, AFRIYIE, the realtor. You can catch me on Instagram. If you need to buy or sell, anything real estate related, get at me. I'll put it in the link. My wife will put it in the link. And thank you all for checking. Thank you all for checking us out. Perceived by your life. Peace.